In the next 15 minutes, you'll build a complete 3-hour one-shot, watch the same example take shape, and see the exact cuts to make at 60, 120, and 150 minutes, so the ending still belongs to the players. The most common pacing mistake is planning an adventure as a sequence of interesting things and hoping 3 hours will be enough. That makes the ending the first casualty of every long conversation, rules check, and unexpected choice. Reverse the logic. A scene earns time only when it changes what the players know, what they can choose, or what they risk. If it changes none of those, remove it before play. This does not mean railroading. It means spending time on decisions and consequences instead of on decorative travel, repeated clues, or a second obstacle that performs the same job as the first. Start with 3 sentences. First, the promise. What kind of experience are people sitting down to have? Second, the final decision. What meaningful choice should end the story? Third, the visible pressure. What worsens while the group hesitates? Our example is the last bell of Bracken Bay. The promise is an urgent harbor mystery with a hard choice. The final decision is whether the missing tide bell should be returned, moved to a safer site, or used as leverage against the council. The pressure is a wall of fog moving toward the harbor while boats signal offshore. Notice that the finale is already visible before we invent the route to reach it. A 3-hour session contains 180 real minutes, but do not write 180 minutes of scenes. Reserve 30 minutes for table talk, rules checks, snacks, unexpected plans, and closure. That leaves a 150-minute scene budget. Build it backward. Protect 45 minutes for the finale and 15 for aftermath. Before that, reserve 30 minutes for the pressure scene that forces a committed approach. The remaining 60 minutes can hold the hook, the lead, and the turn. Our exact spine is 12 minutes at the empty bell tower, 28 following the lead, 35 at the glassworks, 30 under rising fog pressure, 45 for ringing the bell, and 15 for aftermath. That totals 165, so the last 15 of the full session remain a live buffer. The important fact is not each exact number. It is that the ending owns time before the setup does. Scene 1 begins at the empty tower, not during the walk to the harbor, and not with a history lecture. The keeper shows a cut bell rope. The players immediately choose whether to inspect the tower or question the night apprentice. This scene has one job: make the problem immediate and produce the first action. Its fast version is even tighter. The apprentice is already there and points out blue tar on the rope. Context can arrive after the players act. By minute 12, the group should have a route, not merely a mood. The essential reveal is that the missing bell was moved toward an abandoned glassworks. If the story needs that fact, do not hide it behind one fragile roll or one interpretation of a clue. Provide several sensible sources. Blue tar on the cut rope can be recognized by a rope seller. Copper dust on the tower floor matches a cart track. The night apprentice saw a salvage wagon. Each route identifies the glassworks, but the route still matters. It can alter who trusts the group, what costs they pay, or what advantage they carry forward. Uncertainty stays in the approach and consequence, not in whether the story simply stops. The scene ends when the glassworks is identified, ideally before minute 40. At the glassworks, Sarah Holt admits taking the bell. The council seized her rescue boat, and she took the bell as leverage. She also reveals that the old tower support is cracked. This is a real turn because the obvious answer has changed. Returning the bell may restore navigation but put it back on a dangerous structure. Stopping Sarah may defend the council's claim while ignoring why she acted. The players choose leverage, alliance, or force, and they leave understanding the structural risk. If this scene runs long, do not repeat the negotiation until someone gives in. Change the situation. A rescue flare burns offshore. Guards arrive, or Sarah begins moving the bell. A long encounter should become a new state, not another version of the same exchange. Every major scene needs a fast version written while you're calm. For the glassworks, remove the guards, the search, and the approach. Sarah meets the players at the entrance with the bell and the seizure writ, then states her demand. The clue? motive, opposition, and decision now occupy one live moment. Compression should remove steps. Never choose the result for the players. Skip the hallway, not the choice. Deliver the essential reveal, not the solution. Begin the confrontation, not its outcome. This is why prepared cuts feel like momentum instead of panic. You know exactly which setup disappears and where meaningful play resumes. Now run the clock. At 60 minutes, players need both the objective and a route. In our full plan, they should already know that the bell went toward the glassworks. Suppose instead they spent 40 minutes debating suspects and searching the tower. Do not add another clue scene. Name the strongest available lead and jump to the place where the next decision waits. The rope seller recognizes the blue tar and says Sarah's salvage crew uses it. Cut the remaining tower search. Begin with Sarah at the glassworks entrance. What was removed? Decorative searching and redundant evidence. What survives? The players still decide how to approach Sarah, why to trust the clue, and what to do when her motive changes the problem. The route compresses from 2 scenes into 1 without stealing a decision. Here is the cut as a sentence you can actually say at the table. The rope seller studies the tar, names Sarah, and points toward the abandoned glassworks. What do you do when you reach it? That advances the fiction, but does not choose an approach. The players can arrive openly, scout first, seek leverage, or try another idea. If their earlier investigation earned an advantage, carry it forward as extra context or trust. Compression should honor what the group already accomplished, even while it removes the next 20 minutes of planned procedure. At 2 hours, the finale must begin within 10 minutes. Imagine the glassworks conversation is still circling. The players know Sarah's motive and the tower risk, but nobody has committed to a plan. Trigger the pressure that was already prepared. A rescue flare burns beyond the breakwater as fog reaches the outer reef. The bell is too heavy to move quickly, and the council wants it back. Present the live options and their costs. Return it to a cracked tower, move it to the breakwater with Sarah's help, or bargain for public review of the seizure. Cut travel, a secondary guard encounter, and any remaining search. Then start the finale at the chosen site with the bell already half-rigged. Again, the cut does not decide which option is correct. It makes the decision unavoidable and leaves time to experience its consequence. At the table, make the transition explicit. The flare turns the fog orange. You can get the bell to one place before visibility disappears. Then name the cost of each live route, and stop talking. This is the moment for a player decision, not another speech from the opposition. Once the group chooses, jump past the hauling and arrival. Open on the unstable rigging at the tower or the breakwater, with Sarah and the council reacting to what the group chose. The unplayed travel is not where the adventure's meaning lives. The public commitment and the dangerous ringing are. At 2 hours 30, enter ending mode. Resolve the current exchange, jump to the unstable final situation, and ask what the players do. In Bracken Bay, one support is failing, the wind is rising, and the first boat signal is close. Do not introduce a fresh villain, a hidden dungeon, or another full encounter. Each action should now improve the bell's position or increase a visible cost. The final question is who controls the bell, where it rings, and what promise the players make to get it there. Protect at least 10 minutes after that choice. Finishing the physical challenge without showing what it changed is not a complete ending. Use one visible consequence track instead of adding new scenes. A costly action might worsen the support, move the fog closer, or reduce the cooperation available. A strong action improves position and clarifies the next choice. This keeps the finale moving because every exchange changes the situation. If 2 exchanges leave the same problem in the same state, collapse them into one result and ask for the next decisive action. Use a fixed cut order. Remove decorative travel or arrival first. Next, remove a repeated or backup clue once the group trusts the essential fact. Then cut an optional conversation, a second obstacle with the same purpose, and finally a side objective or extra location. Protect 4 things until the end: the central player decision, the reveal that makes it meaningful, the consequence of that decision, and one closing beat for each player. This distinction is more useful than labeling whole scenes essential or optional. A scene may contain both. Keep the decision and move the reveal into the current moment. Discard the corridor, the second search, and the extra opposition wrapped around them. Fast pacing is not the game master deciding what happens. If players choose a route you did not prepare, move the pressure and the clues rather than forcing them back onto your map. If they miss a lead, place the reveal at the next sensible source and attach a cost or complication. If discussion circles, restate the 2 or 3 live options and what changes if they wait, then ask one player what they do now. If an encounter runs long, have the opposition yield, escape, bargain, or trigger the consequence. In every case the world moves, but the players still choose their response. The clock changes how many steps lead to the decision, not who owns the decision. Think of your preparation as portable components, a pressure, an essential reveal, and an interested person. The location is often replaceable. If the group goes to the harbor office instead of the glassworks, the seizure writ can be there, Sarah can intercept them there, and the offshore flare can still advance. Their choice changes the context and relationships, while your prepared material continues doing its job. That is adaptation, not a disguised railroad. Once the bell rings, boats answer from the fog. Show the council, Sarah, and the harbor reacting to the chosen arrangement. Then give every player one closing image. A useful prompt is, what do we see your character doing when dawn clears the bay? This only needs 10 to 15 minutes, but reserve it before play. The aftermath proves that choices mattered and lets the session end on an image rather than on arithmetic, cleanup, or an exhausted promise to finish next week. The whole plan can now fit on one control strip. At 60 minutes, the group must have the objective and a route. If not, name Sarah and begin at the glassworks. At 2 hours, the finale must begin within 10 minutes. If not, trigger the rescue flare, present the location choice, and cut travel and secondary opposition. At 2 hours 30, enter ending mode. If not, begin with the bell half-rigged and one support failing. Every clue reaches the same core decision. The middle can collapse without losing meaning. The final hour still contains the choice, the physical resolution, and the aftermath. That is why this one-shot can actually finish in 3 hours. Build the promise, final decision, and pressure first. Budget 150 minutes of scenes, prepare the fast version of every major encounter, and make the clock cuts immediately. The printable 3-hour one-shot builder, including the filled Bracken Bay example used here, is available through the product link in the description.